What if most of what you're doing doesn't really matter? That's the provocative idea behind the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch, a book that takes a simple mathematical truth and applies it to almost every area of life, work, and success. Let's break it down. What is the 80-20 principle? At its core, the 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto principle, says this: 80% of outcomes come from 20% of causes. It's named after Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, who noticed in the 1890s that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. He also saw this uneven distribution show up in other areas, like how 20% of his pea plants produced 80% of the peas. Richard Koch took this idea and ran with it. He realized that this imbalance exists almost everywhere in business, relationships, productivity, happiness, wealth, and even time management. Here's what it looks like in action. 20% of your customers generate 80% of your revenue. 20% of your work creates 80% of your results. 20% of people cause 80% of the problems. 20% of your habits create 80% of your happiness. It's not always exactly 80-20. Sometimes it's 90-10 or 70-30, but the key point is a small fraction of inputs usually creates the majority of outcomes. Why it matters. Most people operate under a more is better mindset. Work more hours to get more done. Say yes to more opportunities. Respond to every email, attend every meeting, please every client. But the 80-20 principle flips that. It says, most of what you do doesn't actually move the needle. Focus on the few things that do. This isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter by identifying and focusing on the high-impact 20%. How to use the 80-20 principle in your life. 1. Time and productivity. Ask yourself, what 20% of my tasks lead to 80% of my real progress? You might find that writing one powerful email wins more business than dozens of calls. A focused 90-minute work session is worth more than 6 hours of multitasking. Avoiding distractions frees up hours of mental bandwidth. Pro tip, track your time for a week. Notice where you're effective versus just busy. 2. Career and business. In your job or business, what 20% of clients, projects, or strategies drive 80% of your success? You may discover 80% of profits come from 20% of products. 20% of marketing strategies bring most of the traffic. 20% of employees produce 80% of the value. Use this to focus resources, double down on top clients or high converting offers, and drop the rest. 3. Relationships. Which 20% of people bring 80% of your joy, support, and growth? That one friend who encourages you. That mentor who gives game-changing advice. That partner who helps you stay grounded. Nurture those connections. At the same time, reduce time spent with people who drain your energy. 4th, health and well-being. Not all habits are created equal. What 20% of habits lead to 80% of your physical and mental health? Maybe sleep is more important than supplements. Walking daily beats fancy gym routines. Deep breathing helps more than 10 apps identify your high-impact habits and prioritize them ruthlessly. 5. Happiness and fulfillment. Most people chase more, money, fame, experiences, thinking that will bring happiness. But often, 20% of experiences account for 80% of your joy. It might be a quiet moment with a loved one, a walk in nature creating something meaningful. Know what truly fills your cup. Do more of it. Let go of the rest. The trap most people fall into. We think everything has equal importance, but in reality, only a few things really matter. Koch explains that most people waste energy on low-value activities, spread themselves too thin. Don't stop to question what's actually producing results. This is why many people work hard their whole lives, but never feel free or fulfilled. The solution? Identify your 20%, then eliminate or automate the 80%. How to apply the principle effectively. 1. Audit your inputs. Look at your calendar, income streams, energy levels. What's actually delivering value? 2. Cut the noise. Say no to tasks, people, or opportunities that don't contribute to your core goals. 3. Invest in your 20%. Put more time, money, and focus into what's working. 4. Repeat the process. Even within your top 20%, apply the 80-20 principle. Again, this is called successive 80-20ing. Example, if 20% of your clients generate 80% of revenue, look at the top 20% of that group to find your dream clients. Why this principle is so powerful. The 80-20 principle gives you leverage, creates clarity, frees up your time, helps you avoid burnout, helps you achieve more by doing less. It's not just a productivity hack, it's a way of thinking. Stop doing more, start doing what matters. You could hustle all day and barely move the needle, or work on one high impact thing and change your life. The 80-20 principle shows the success doesn't come from effort alone. It comes from focusing your effort where it actually counts. So the next time you are overwhelmed, remember, you don't need to do everything. You just need to find your 20% and double down.